A little earlier, I was delighted to hear Andy give a shout out to one of the most iconic games of our time, Vib Ribbon. Yeah, give it up for Vib Ribbon. A personal favorite of mine that really embodies the PlayStation spirit. It wasn't a multi-million seller, but that's not the point. Vib Ribbon was unafraid to go against the tide. It was courageous in its ambition, and it brought a completely new experience to gamers. It's an incredible time to be part of the PlayStation family. I look forward to growing our gaming community through breakthrough experiences that inspire and delight. After all, guys, it's all about the games, isn't it?
Here's Nintendo, the biggest company right now in the gaming industry, as far as like hardware sales go. They're just raking in the money, and they decided we're going to create shows that purely show off indie developers and the stuff that they're making. They're not going to be the biggest sellers on our machine. They're not AAA titles, but we're going to give them a platform to give them exposure, show people their faces, let them know who they are, and get those games out there where people can actually see them. And then we have Sony, who for quite a fair chunk of the PS4 life cycle were big into like giving Sony's platform and highlighting their games and all that sort of jazz. And a couple of years ago, quite recently, they decided to move their headquarters to the US. They replaced the president who's in charge of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and things have been going a little weird with Sony lately. Like in the last month, there has been just one bad story about Sony after the other. First of all, let's ignore the fact that there has been almost no exclusives for the hardware. Like actually released on, I'm gonna give this a words giant rant about Sony's stupidity.
It is definitely something I've been saying for a while now too. Like that's why I so easily gave away my PlayStation 4 like to a friend of mine in South Carolina when I visited, because there's just not many exclusives on there anymore. And like a lot of things like Tales of Games and the Lear series, like a lot of series used to be exclusive for Sony, but they're on Steam now. What's the point?
Or it's
Like Horizon Zero Dawn, which I thought would stay exclusive, is now also on Steam, and yeah.
The thing about Horizon though is they did wait a few years, so it's kind of like you're not going to get this game unless you're willing to wait on PC. But clearly people are willing to wait. But the first couple of years, like the first 4 years of the PlayStation 4's life, full of exclusive, full of massive games, like you mentioned, stuff that everybody wanted, stuff that Spider-Man, Sad Dad Simulator 1 and 2, otherwise known as God of War and The Last of Us, Gravity Rush, there's just so much out there that they, Infamous, Days Gone, I could go forever, and that's just the first party exclusive stuff. Never mind the third party exclusive stuff. A huge focus on indies too. Lots of indie games that only came out on that platform, and just they have decided recently, according to reports, that they're going forward. They're only going to focus on games that are too big to fail. Is the exact way they phrased it. Like games that are such high blockbusters, such high values, so popular or so big, so graphically mind-blowing that they can't fail because everybody will want them. And first of all, that just sounds incredibly egotistical, that you can make something so big that people will have to buy it. Like I that's not how people play video games. It's any thoughts, Osine, on, do you think this is a bad direction for them to take?
I mean, of course it is. I've I mean, the only reason why I got a Sony is because it had interesting, smaller and bigger unique games that were, worth my time. And because they were both smaller and bigger, they were constantly coming out, especially then the PlayStation 3, once it got going.
It took a while, but it got going
It took a
eventually.
while, but once it got going, it got going. And it kept going until the end. And now it's a bit like, in the console wars, Xbox has Halo, and they're now, ramping up, but they realize that, oh wait, and they're, taking all kinds of things in, and they're like, yep, okay, let's try to refocus. But
I'm glad you mentioned
but
that, because part of the reason I just didn't care about the Xbox One is because there was nothing on it that interested me.
yeah,
Like,
but now they have taken off, like,
everybody.
everybody, yeah, pretty much. The Double Fine brothers, is
The
it
Double
the
Fine
name of it?
Productions,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Double Fine production, which
Ninja
means
Theory, Bethesda, that small indie company that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, Microsoft has been buying out a lot of stuff.
And as long as they can keep churning out the quality, that's all I care about.
And the Game Pass is amazing, like on PC too. Like like that Game Pass really is value right there. That's the best way I've ever seen. Like, I have Xbox Game Pass. I never thought I would have anything Xbox. I didn't care.
That's a mood.
A note to all of you right now: get Xbox Live Game Pass. It is the most phenomenal thing that you will ever spend your money on. It has actively stopped me playing my PS4. And that's exactly what they want. They want me in their ecosystem. And I know that. But it's, when I was a child, I don't know if this was a thing in your countries, but when I was a child, you could go into a shop and you could rent out one game for like £5 for a weekend. And we thought that was amazing because you didn't have to buy like a full priced $60 cartridge. And now I can get hundreds of video games for €10 a month. And it's not just trash. It's not like Netflix, where 99% of the stuff is things you're never actually going to watch. And the other 1% are actually good shows. But it's stuff you'll actually want to play. It's all of Microsoft's new releases. It's all of Bethesda's new releases. All the Final Fantasies are on there. All the Yakuzas are on there. Freaking... You now get EA's games as part of the Game Pass. Like anything that's on EA Play is now also on Game Pass at no extra cost. It's mind-boggling. It's like Streets of Rage 4 was on there. I never thought I would play a Streets of Rage 4, and then I got to play it on there without having to spend a single penny because they just gave it away from day one. And how can you say no to that? It's. We're getting a little chatter about Nintendo. I don't see a reason to buy a new console in the future. All games on the Xbox, yes, is most likely on the Game Pass for PC. And Sony is more and more losing every single bit of trust I had. And that's Microsoft knows this. They don't need you to buy an Xbox. An Xbox is an option. Whereas you need a PS5 to play most of these games, unless you want to wait 2 years for the possibility that it might come out on PC, like someday.
Which is why I feel much stronger towards Microsoft now.
Yeah, and I never thought I would say that.
With the Game Pass and everything, they really are selling me as, okay, I mean, we get money either way, but there's also a console for all of you who want that. Also, it plays
Did you guys think
that's what you want from it anyway, most of you?
Did you think 5 years ago you were going to be saying, yeah, I'm really supporting Xbox?
No, I never thought I would be like, yeah, you do your thing, you're good. Like, I always was like, what's even the point of that console?
Let's hear your thoughts, Teshi, because you and I have both been PlayStation gamers for years, just purely on the background of like their JRPG support. But
so the PS2 was my happy home for a while. PS3 really didn't have much that I cared about. And then PS4 became my happy console until the Switch came out. And now I have a PS5 just to have better graphics for PS4 games. Like, we don't even play the PS5 games we have. We just use updated graphics.
I honestly don't understand why people bought the PS5. Like, there's just... Do you regret buying your PS5, Teshi?
Not really, but only because of the fact that, like, this is the only way I'm going to get the Yuffie story for 7R.
Well, that's a whole topic unto itself. It's
I'm just going to just hyperventilate and just flare my nostrils.
Square is like, we're going to split this game up into 5 parts, and we're also going to make separate parts where you're going to get certain content if you get that part. And it's like...
And I mean...
I'm so aggravated by that, and that's basically the only reason I'm glad that we were able to get a PS5, because it was just because Scar woke up in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m., hopped onto the Best Buy app. They said it was in stock. He put in the info, and it actually went through.
All the scalpers were asleep.
The only reason we got it.
Alex says that I couldn't afford a PS5 at the moment. Even if you could, you probably wouldn't be able to find one.
To be fair, the reason we have a PlayStation 5 is not really necessarily because it's a gaming console. Like, the reason why they got one is because it's a 4K Blu-ray player that can play games on top of that. And Blu-ray players like 4K, those are not cheap. So therefore, that is why he would have either way got one of the consoles, either Xbox or PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 5 is what he ended up on.
If people have the money to like pay for this, that's great. I can't justify it to myself yet. There's just not enough games on it that I want to play. Miles Morales is not exclusive to the PS5. The new Horizon game that's coming out in a few months, that's not exclusive to the PS5 either.
The puppet thing is the Sackboy is
Sackboy, yeah, but that's a cute...
Sackboy was exclusive.
Yeah, but it's a cute little platformer. Is that really the kind of game you're going to buy a $500 machine for?
I mean, Puppeteer is really worth buying a PlayStation 3 for, just saying.
Speaking of Puppeteer, Sony decided, there's a long list of complaints here. Sony decided to shut down the studio that created Puppeteer. Did you know that, Teshi? Or Osini?
Yeah, I mean, I know that because you mentioned it in the list.
Yeah, it was in the list of games. I was wondering if it would pop out to you. But just last week, Sony decided to close down Japan Studios, which is probably the single studio that put the PlayStation on the map. I tried to put together
games that they created. I didn't know they shut them down.
Yeah, well, the way that what they've done is basically they've let almost everybody go, and the only thing that's left now is the division making Astrobot. They basically become the Astrobot studio.
That hurts my head.
Asobi was a division of Sony Japan Studio. And they basically, like, some of the best talent that company has ever had is no longer working there as of last week. And I tried to put together a short list of the games this company made. Parappa the Rapper, Wild Arms, Everybody's Golf, Legend of Legaia, Ark the Lad, Ape Escape, Dark Cloud, Fib Ribbon, Loco Roco, Rogue Galaxy, Patapon, Puppeteer, Siren, Bloodborne, Astrobot, The Last Guardian, Gravity Rush, Ico, my favorite game of all time, Shadow of the Colossus, the second best game of all time, and a tiny little obscure title by the name of Demon Souls that basically redefined the entire industry, created its own genre, and changed how video games were essentially developed for a decade. Demon Souls is the reason hard games came back into fashion. And it's just gone. It's like, because those games aren't big enough to fail. Or those games aren't big enough not to fail. Sorry. It's what
annoys me most is a lot of those games are ones that I've either been wanting remakes of or something.
I'm surprised you haven't played 99% of these. That's the short list, by the way.
Like,
It's a very long list.
Yeah,
They've
that's
done,
like-
yeah.
I played a good majority of those on the original platforms, and I own a majority of them on the original platform.
That is about 10% of everything they've made, probably even less. But those are the most well-known titles. There has been a lot of controversy going on recently with censorship with Japanese studios, because since the studio is now in the US, communication has just completely collapsed between Japan and America, causing Japanese studios to have to censor a load of those games. What kind of world are we living in where anime breasts are censored on a Sony console, but not on a Nintendo console?
Yeah.
We're in this weird 2020 universe.
It's
Everything is different.
2020. And there has also been reports that the Sony brand itself has been losing massive recognition in Japan, just due to lack of like big titles. I mean, Monster Hunter is coming to the Switch, for crying out loud. It's like,
I mean, to be fair, it reminds me of Monster Hunter 3 on the Wii.
yeah,
They've had a lot of Monster Hunters like on like the Wii, Wii U, 3DS.
3DS, yeah.
there's a reason for that. The policy with Monster Hunter has generally always been put it on the most popular platform. Put it on the platform that's like going to get it the best sales. It jumps around all the time. And I don't know why they put it on the Wii U. That was a confusing decision. But the Wii, people thought it was strange that it was on the Wii because it was on the PS2 before that. But the Wii was the biggest selling console. That's the machine they put it onto. The freaking PSP, who everyone for some reason seems to think was a failure, even though it sold 90 million units. And Monster Hunter was on this, and it was massive in Japan. And now they're bringing it to the Switch because that's where everybody is playing games right now. Also, the one other thing they recently found out is that if the clock battery on the PS4 dies,
oh my gosh,
you will no longer be able to play your games.
This is what makes it worse. Even physical will not play if that battery dies.
Because
like, that's just...
They need you've obviously read up on this, Teshi, but they require like their actual clock to like validate like that they're not cheating the dates and stuff by like trying to input a different date to an outside system or something. And that is easy to replace. But the problem is it has to communicate with the PlayStation servers. And if the PlayStation servers ever go down for PS4, your entire PlayStation 4 will be able to play nothing.
And guess what? It's just a fancy paperweight that looks
just
ugly.
like the Vita and the PS3 are about to become, because you will no longer be able to buy any games on the PS3 or the PS Vita starting from 2 months from now.
As the only thing that aggravates me with that is the fact that there were so many games that were exclusive to, like, say, the Vita that were only downloadable.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you don't have that, then, well...
If you got the Final Fantasy 10-2 collection, you only got the 10 on the disc or on the cartridge. You have to download 10-2. Anything that's on Vita, PS3, that includes PS1 classics, PS2 classics, PS3 games, Vita games, PSP games, gone. Atlas had to put out a post today saying, from next month, none of our games are going to be available to play anywhere. And it was like 50 games.
It's just, it's sad.
I understand the stores have to close down, but this is why I'm a PC gamer. Because 20 years from now, I can still just put my disc for Ultima into my PC and play Ultima 1 from 1981 with DOSBox with like no problems. It's just...
I was just gonna say, I love the fact I can still load up DOSBox and be like, let me play Masters of Magic.
If you want retro experiences, Nintendo is absolutely the console to go for right now.
No, it is for much more than retro too.
Yeah, it's got everything. And this is why they didn't bring back the virtual console. They didn't need to.
Yeah, everyone is getting their games on there.
Yeah, they're just put your games on there. You want to put a ROM on there from 20 years ago with like
Go for it.
just go wild.
I just need someone to hear me with this. Put the Mother 3 emulator on the eShop. Do
I
it.
actually saw Reggie recently tweet out a response to someone like, "Oh, Mother 3," like responses again that he just had like a laser sight from his eyes kind of picture posted to it.
Because they're only shutting down the stores, so that
Yeah.
shouldn't affect the trophies.
Not necessarily true. Well, kind of true, but apparently you can't even download patches for games now.
So,
There are some games that won't even work without those patches.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So have fun with that. I am
Well,
very.
I guess it's just an ugly-looking paperweight now.
I don't know. You could always turn it into a George Foreman grill. Just open the top and stick a grill in there. There you go. You wouldn't even be able to tell the difference.
Delicious.
I've been waiting 10 years to make that joke.
Well, I'm proud of you. You did it.
Hey there, beautiful people. Thanks for reaching the end of the episode. If you're listening to this, please do consider checking us out on Patreon, as well as dropping a follow and a like here. Also, check us out on Twitch, where you can be directly involved in these discussions face to face with me. We can have some nice, deep conversations about all the different things that we discuss here on this channel. Take care of yourselves. Stay beautiful.